Hello everybody, Maven here, and today we got 30 something, 40 something, 50 something examples. I don't know the exact number, but you'll see it in the title. 40 something examples of why Tether is the worst super in the Crucible. As a Void Hunter main, I can tell you from experience that more often than not, when I pop Tether, I either die doing it or the Tether does nothing. So yeah, we have a million clips to get through, so let's just start it and I'll provide live commentary over it. So let's go. So here's the way we're gonna do this. I narrowed down to 30 clips and I'm gonna separate them into different categories. So we're just gonna kick it off with the first category, when the tether deploys too late. So this is more or less going to be a compilation of when somebody pops a super, I try to tether it, and I die before the tether connects to them and knocks them out of their super. I don't think that should be a thing because the whole thing about Tether, the whole fantasy of it, is that it's all about suppression. It's all about debilitating your enemy as quickly as possible. But it doesn't do it as quickly as possible. It does it with a huge delay. Personally, I feel that the Tether, like when it hits the ground, it should also create a suppressing burst around it, like a radius area of effect. Like kind of like a little, the arrow's kind of like you're shooting a nuke in a way, a suppressing nuke. And that the little tether line that connects to the tether, that should deploy instantly as well, as soon as the tether hits the floor, like as soon as it hits the ground. And also the whole animation of deploying the tether, activating it, should have a new animation, because they did the same treatment to Bubble. They did it to Bubble. Like, Bubble used to be slower. For those who are newer to the game, the animation on activating Ward of Dawn was different. So why can't they do that for Tether and make it have a new faster animation as well? I think that is totally a thing that Bungie should do. I don't see why they wouldn't do it. So if they actually overhauled, the way that Tether works, I think that it could actually do its job in suppressing supers and suppressing people like it's supposed to. But it fails at that like 80% of the time. I don't get it. But we're coming up to some pretty golden clips here, these next two. So in this next one here, it's kind of an anomaly, because you see, if you slow this down and rewatch and slow it down, you can see my tether actually connects to this guy, but he's able to throw an additional hammer after that, and I die to it. So it makes no sense. And then in this one here, like literally it's just icing on the cake. This guy is able to kill me and then simply just walk away from the tether like nothing ever happened. Now on to the next category, when the tether connects but does nothing. So as you'll see in these following clips, the tether line actually stuck to the opponent, but it did not affect anything that they did. It did not really debilitate them at all, and they're still able to fight back at me, and that is unacceptable. It's a super. Why are they still able to fight like nothing ever happened? It is a super. And this one, I get tethered, but I just walk out of it. So it's kind of like my opponent's tether sucks. So it's the same thing. These next clips here don't have audio because, I was either talking to a friend or I was watching a YouTube video, but it's ridiculous. Like, watch, this guy's able to just like shoot right at me, even though he just got tethered. It just makes no sense to me that is a thing. Like, I think that when somebody gets tethered, that they should do massively less damage to you. Like, their damage output should be weakened against you. And also, that effect where when you get tethered, it knocks your camera up to the moon? It should stay that way for a while. Why does it, like, if you're on M and K, you can just bring it right back down immediately and keep on fighting. And then, yeah, this one here is kind of ridiculous at the end. I tether, and then the way I die, I get shotgun in the back, but this guy ran into my tether and it did nothing to him. He still runs right at me and shotguns me like nothing ever happened. It's ridiculous. On to the next category, when the tether physically hits the opponent, but they don't die. So this is probably the most infuriating one out of all of them, but when the bow shot actually hits their body as you deploy it, it should kill them. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it doesn't, like these clips here. Because think about this, Golden Gun one-shots, and you have enough shots with that thing to kill like 9 Guardians. This only has like 1 or 2 shots, and it doesn't kill when it connects. That's ridiculous. It is a super. I don't care what you say, it is a super. It should kill when it hits their body. It's infuriating. It really needs a buff to damage. Next up, when the tether's hitbox is bad. So the tether having a slow deployment animation as well as it being a projectile, it should have much more of a grace on the hitbox. When you shoot it like around a target or like near them, it should hit them. Like, look at this clip. I shoot it right at this guy and it doesn't hit them. It needs to be a lot more forgiving than that. And we also have a little bit of a subcategory within this category, but it also just like when you activate your tether like near a wall, the same thing happens with Silence and Squall, by the way, but like Just look here, for example. I try to tether in front of me, and nope, it hits the wall. And the same thing happens in the next clip as well. So I like try to shoot it right at this guy, but because my character went right up into the ceiling, it actually hit the ceiling instead of going at my enemy. And that's pretty ridiculous. And then this last clip here, we might have to play this one twice, but this one I actually killed my target, but look at that first shot. We're actually gonna play this back and slow it down again, but look at that first shot. It literally went right at his face. Like, I shot it right at him and literally nothing happened because the hitbox on Tether is so stupidly terrible. It really needs to get a buff. It needs to be way more consistent with connecting. And on to the last category, when the tether's radius is bad. So in this first clip here, I tether right there, and this guy I'm shooting at, literally, he does not get caught by my tether. I don't understand why. He's like 12 meters away from my tether. It's ridiculous. And then I managed to kill this guy here, he gets caught in it, but then I get killed by a guy in the hallway, even though he was pretty dang close to my tether, if you ask me. Like, he should have gotten caught in that. And then in this clip here, we're seriously gonna have to do a freeze frame because this Titan flies right by my tether to thunder crash me. And then as you can see afterwards, he does get caught in the tether when he hits the ground because tether has this weird buggy thing. We're actually gonna make a freeze frame right about here, by the way. I'll make a freeze frame and we'll pause right here. So as you can see, this Titan, he literally flew closer to my tether than he is in this screenshot, yet he didn't get caught in it while he was in his thunder crash. And because tether is kind of buggy in a way sometimes where it won't tether people who are like either moving too fast or their feet are not touching the ground. It's like, it's weird like that. It needs to be way overhauled and way more consistent because it is very messed up. And on to the wrap up, recapping everything I said, I think that tether needs a new animation to deploy quicker. And then I think that when it hits a surface, it should tether the targets immediately. And then I also think that it needs a better hitbox and it should actually create some kind of explosion on the surface that you hit, like a grenade-like explosion that deals damage, because it's ridiculous that you can actually shoot your tether like in between somebody's feet and they will take 0 damage. And they'll get tethered 2 seconds later, in which in those 2 seconds, they'll still be able to shoot at you and kill you and win that gunfight because you're stuck in a super slow animation. It is a joke of a super, and you can ask any other streamer who's main Void Hunter at one point, like you can ask Grenader Jake, you can ask Pure Chill, they'll tell you the same thing. This super is bad, and it's rare when it's actually a good tether. You'll even see clips of people saying, oh, that was a good tether, because it's so rare to have a good tether. It's such an anomaly. So yes, Bungie, just like you did with Bubble, you need to fix this one because undoubtedly this is the worst super in the game and I don't think anybody can argue that. So that's going to do it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit the like button and drop a comment because interacting with the video in different types of ways like that really helps it out and helps the algorithm. And if you're new here, consider subscribing. Would love to have you here. And with that, I will catch you in the next video. See you later.